Millions were stolen. Men, women, and children were taken from their homes, their lives forever altered. Torn from their ancestral lands, they were forced across an ocean, into a world unknown and hostile. The transatlantic slave trade was a brutal chapter in human history, marked by unimaginable suffering and loss. It ripped families apart, erased cultures, and left a legacy of trauma that echoes through generations. The pain and loss are still felt today. Generations later, the descendants of those stolen still seek solace. They long for recognition of their ancestors' suffering. They deserve justice for the wrongs committed. This yearning is not about romanticizing the past. It is about understanding and acknowledging the truth of their history. It is about acknowledging a fundamental human right, the right to belong, the right to be seen and heard, the right to know where you come from, to understand your roots and heritage, the right to walk on the soil that nurtured your ancestors, to feel a connection to the land and its people. This is the essence of the Right to Return movement. It is a call for justice, for healing, and for a reconnection with a stolen heritage. The descendants of enslaved Africans carry a unique burden. They were severed from their history, their languages, their spiritual practices. This forced amnesia created a void. It's a void that echoes through generations. Many descendants feel a deep sense of displacement, a feeling of not fully belonging. This is a direct result of historical injustices. These injustices must be acknowledged. Only then can healing begin. The call of home is primal, a deep-seated instinct that resonates within us all. It's a yearning for connection, a fundamental human need to belong and to be understood, a desire to understand one's place in the world, to trace the footsteps of our ancestors and find meaning in our heritage. For descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, this call is amplified, echoing through generations. It's a search for what was stolen, a quest to reclaim a lost identity and heritage. Some descendants have embarked on journeys of self-discovery, seeking to reconnect with their cultural roots. They travel to the lands of their ancestors, walking the same paths and breathing the same air. They connect with distant relatives, bridging the gap created by centuries of separation. They begin to piece together their fragmented history, uncovering stories long buried. These journeys are deeply personal, filled with moments of revelation and introspection. They are also profoundly political, challenging the narratives of history and identity. They challenge us to confront the legacy of slavery, to acknowledge the past, and strive for a more just future. The right to return is not just symbolic. It represents a profound acknowledgement of the historical injustices faced by the African diaspora. It's a tangible step towards reparative justice, a way to begin healing the deep wounds inflicted over centuries. Reparations are not about assigning blame to individuals or groups. They are about acknowledging the harm that has been done and the lasting impact it has had on generations. They are about taking responsibility for the past, understanding the historical context, and making amends. Repatriation is a complex issue, fraught with logistical, emotional, and political challenges. It requires careful consideration and open dialogue among all stakeholders to ensure a just and fair process. But it is a conversation we must have, a necessary step towards reconciliation and unity. We must ask ourselves, how do we repair the damage of centuries of exploitation, oppression, and systemic injustice? How do we create a future where everyone feels a sense of belonging, where the scars of the past are healed, and where justice prevails for all? For many descendants, returning to their ancestral lands is about reclaiming their identity. It's about stepping into their full selves. It's about healing the wounds of the past. It's about finding peace and belonging. The right to return is not just about physical relocation. It's about cultural restoration. It's about reviving lost languages and traditions. It's about reclaiming stolen narratives. The journey towards healing is a shared one. It requires empathy, understanding, and a commitment to justice. We must listen to the stories of those who have been marginalized. We must amplify their voices. We must stand in solidarity with them. The right to return is a human rights issue. It's about dignity. It's about respect. It's about righting historical wrongs. Sign the petition. Support the movement. Be part of the change.